Hi, my name's Jen Petrie and welcome to Outside the Square. Today we're going to be talking about Plastic-Free July. So does Plastic-Free July, is a plastic-free culture, how does that relate to mindful living and leadership, and is it important? And I'm going to give you a spoiler alert to say, yes, it absolutely is important, and I'm going to have a discussion about why. I'd like to set the foundation for this with a statement that I hope that you'll all embrace, which is we are better to have 6 billion people doing this imperfectly than having 100 people doing it perfectly. So whether you've mastered this and you're doing it perfectly, which is amazing, or whether you're just doing your bit and there's things that you're shifting and changing, thank you so much for what you're doing, because it's the little bits that we all do that add up to make a big difference. So why is it that Plastic-Free July is something that we should be interested in and concerned about in terms of mindful living and leadership? There's a couple of points around this that I'd like to address. The first is that every piece of plastic that has ever been made still exists. Every piece of plastic that has ever been made still exists. Think about how much plastic you use in a day that you don't even think about. Like, you get in the car and there's things. Most people will use a toothbrush and there's things. You think about that in your lifetime, your whole life. Then take a step and think about your parents and your grandparents. So there is so much there and it all still exists. Yes, some of it is being recycled and that's fabulous, but it's only 10%. Only 10% of plastic is recycled. The rest of it goes to landfill, right? So there's two key points there. One, we need to use less of it. The second is that we need to be really aware that only 10% of it is recycled, okay? So in the past 10 years, there's been more plastic produced than there was in the whole of the last century. The whole of last century, okay? So it's something that we've been moving towards, and we really need to look at other options, and thank goodness there are other options, but a lot of it is us becoming responsible leaders of ourselves and looking at what we can do to make a difference. Because when we start to make a difference, as I speak about in other areas, this ripples out. So the fourth point that I want to put across is that in the next 10 years, there will be more plastic in the sea than fish. More plastic in the sea than fish. Imagine going to the beach for a swim, which most of us Aussies love to do, and you're swimming and there's not a fish, it's just pretty much a garbage dump, which is not what we want. And it's not that we intentionally go and put rubbish necessarily in there, but it's that things fall away or they end up in the stormwater because they've fallen out of the bins or something, and that's where they've ended up. So it can be an unconscious thing that's happening. It's not necessarily intentional, but it's something that consciously we can do things to make a difference. So Plastic-Free July has becoming more popular in the last few years. So most people are across the big four. I'm just going to address them briefly here so that we know what we're talking about. The first thing is plastic bags, and I think most people now are across single-use plastic bags. If you're going to the store, most stores don't have them anymore. The more heavy-duty ones, they're worse for the environment because they take longer to break down. You can buy plastic bags which are 100% compostable, and they're made from things like sugar cane. I think Woolies have got them, Bunnings certainly have got them. I highly recommend going and getting those. If you're at the supermarket and you're buying things like apples, you don't need a plastic bag, so don't get one. You'll be fine. Stick them in the trolley or the basket. It will be fine. One thing I do want to say, and it's taken me a bit to try and find one of these without dobbing someone in because a lot of people weren't aware. So when you've got, if you can see this looks like fabric, which is the bag that a lot of the Woolies and the Coles bags certainly come in, and a lot of other reusable bags. This is actually made of plastic. So whilst you might get a couple more uses out of it, if you have a choice, please use a cotton or a bamboo bag, because this is still contributing towards the plastic, and the microfibers on this which also happen to be on quite a lot of clothing. If your clothing is polyester, it's made of plastic as well. And there's a number of effects on that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But please, please, please just be aware. If you've got them, use them. There's no use just throwing something away. But when you're done, spend a little bit more. Spend an extra $1, invest in the cotton bags. The other thing that's becoming a large thing right now that's made of a very similar fabric is these things. Masks. They're turning up everywhere and they are such a disposable item, okay? So it doesn't take much to go and invest in these. A lot of places have got them. This one is this is a 100% cotton one. So is this one. There's plenty of them online. If you go and get these, you can reuse them. I've got a couple of them. If one's in the wash, one's in my bag, or I've got a couple. If I can't find one, I have it. Something like that is so simple, but it saves us going through how many times do you have to go and get a different mask and you're picking it up and different things happening. So that's the first one, plastic bags and masks. Second thing, coffee cups. I think there's a lot of people now who are aware and are starting to get on the bandwagon of the cups. I know in Bondi, they're doing no coffee. They've had a no coffee cup period, and they've been going through and they're just not serving things in takeaway cups. So you can take in your own cup or you can get reusable cups. So there's so many of them on the market at the moment. Something like this, yes, some people say the glass will break. Get one that's not glass then. This is a beautiful stainless steel one, which has actually got a ceramic inside. And the reason that I have this one is because I think it tastes better for coffee, but also if I want to put something else in it. So let's start thinking outside the square. If I go traveling, I usually take this. And then if I'm on a flight and I want to get coffee or I'm getting wine or something like that, I can put that in here too. And I'm saving the use of the plastic cup, right? In our handbags or carrying on us, we've got our purse, keys, phone. It's easy enough to have a water bottle, which most of us have, and a reusable cup if you're going to be using it. The number of times it will save us, and you know it's yours, you know what's happening with it. Bring it, take it, use it. It makes a big difference. Okay, so that's the second one. The third one that we're going to move on to is the plastic water bottles. Again, we don't need to be using them. We just don't need them, right? If you're using the water from the tap or if you're using filtered water, use that, bring that out and use it. You can buy glass reusable ones from the supermarket. Just go and buy the water in this. Yes, the water in this is expensive, but you get the container, you can reuse it again. Yes, that's glass, so something you may need to be careful with that. Alternatively, you can get a stainless steel one. Here's one I prepared earlier. The benefits of the stainless steel are the aluminium will leach and you can absorb that, which isn't terribly good for you. Reusing a plastic bottle is also not good for you because the plastic leaches out toxins, which you absorb, and that starts disrupting our hormones. That's why we're getting a lot more disease and that type of thing within society right now. So I don't recommend reusing a plastic bottle, particularly in the car, it heats up. Go and get something that's stainless steel. You can get these now quite often on special, and I think the supermarkets sell them as well. The fourth of the big four is straws, which thankfully have just about been phased out. Stainless steel straws are an option, or if you don't need them, don't use them, okay? So that was the straw one. Now, what I would like to say about the microplastics, right? Whether you're getting this in the in your clothing, whether you're getting it in other things that you're using, it can be in your makeup, in the skincare that you use, that's absorbing into your system and it's a really big hormone disruptor and we don't want that obviously in our system. So I invite you to cut down the use of that. Look for other options. If you need some suggestions, please contact me because I have a whole bunch that I'm happy to share with you for what to use. Once we make the switch, it's easy. We just got to find something to use. If you're using laundry detergent, please have a look and use one that's eco-friendly because what's happening is otherwise the toxins in that and the little blue things, they're microplastics. They're going into the environment, which is harming the environment. They're also going into the fish, and if you're eating fish, you're consuming that, that's going back into your body and it's a complete disruption to your system, which is not what you want. So what can we do? It's easy enough to go to the supermarket now. The supermarkets have got products that are sustainable. EcoStore have got some great products. I highly recommend going and having a look. If they work for you, use them, they're certainly something I have used and currently use as well. The other thing is storage containers. So what can you use? Just grab a jar. There's so many different sizes. Grab whatever you need and restore things in it. The lid will usually seal it. And if you're getting takeaway, feel free to take your containers in. Most people are happy to put that in it, take it clean, bit like your coffee cup, make sure it's clean, and then you get to take that and use it. So the benefit of this is once we start using this and we're conscious, it's like a ripple effect and it goes on and it affects others. It affects others, which helps us in the long term. It keeps us healthy, it keeps us safe, it saves the environment, and that means that we can all be happier, healthier, and live much better, happier lives. So that's my rant on plastic-free July. If you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. But I hope that's been helpful, and I hope that you embrace plastic-free July. As I said in the beginning, please feel free to just step in and do what you can. Do the next thing. If you've been doing something, great. Take the next step, because we are much better to have everyone doing it imperfectly than to have a few people doing it perfectly. That's all for now. Speak to you soon.